if you pay attention, it's only really targeted towards people with the curly hair. People of other cultures or with other curl patterns are not doing the lock method, or women who used to have curly hair who now have a chemical service that has caused their curly hair to go straight. The lock method isn't beneficial for them. It is something that is only targeted towards women with curly hair.
Before we hop into this video, let's talk about this video's sponsors pocket light. I am so in love with this because it makes it so easy for me to create content faster on the whim, because this light here connects to my phone. As you can see, it comes with a charger, so you can keep this battery charged up, and as you can see, it just clips onto my phone, onto the back of my phone. Look how it works.
So I love this thing because it just makes it so easy for me to be able to film and record like anywhere that I'm at, even with my phone. So I'm gonna show you again how it look. Off. That's how it looks off. My husband coming in hating on me. This is it on the laptop. So yeah, this is how it's looking right now. So I'm about to set up a couple more things, and then I'm going to film the beginning part of this video. I love y'all so much, and I really like this. So this is what I'm doing. Yes, like I'm purposely showing y'all like how freaking easy it is to do this. Like, look. And with this light up there, listen, this one isn't on at all. Like, that's the one that I was recording with before on the other one. But this is what we doing. Look, what we talking about?
And the lock method is something where you take a liquid, something like water or a leave-in conditioner within a liquid form, and then next up, following it with the oil, and then lastly, a cream to cover and lock everything in. So in theory, number one, the water or the leave-in conditioner is supposed to act as the moisturizer, and then you're supposed to follow it up with an oil. And in theory, the water is going to be locked into the hair shaft with the oil and then completely sealed with the cream. When you really think about it, it doesn't really make sense when you go into basic science, because water and oil repel each other. So to infer that water is actually being locked in with a cream is actually kind of ludicrous, because that's not what's happening. What's actually happening is the water is being repelled by that oil, and the cuticle and the hair shaft is being locked. And when the hair shaft and the cuticle is locked, it leads directly to massive amounts of hair shaft disorders, like the one that I talked about in this video here. This hair shaft disorder is caused from the oxygen flow being cut off in the hair shaft, causing breakage, splits, and nodes to form within the hair shaft. Now, in theory, it sounds good, right? In theory, it sounds like it works, but in reality, all you're doing is causing massive weight and massive buildup on the hair shaft. The hair shaft is only able to hold 36% of what is put on it. So after that first 36% of whatever that liquid is that you put on the hair shaft is in there, everything else is just sitting on top of the hair shaft, weighing it down, along with that other percentage of the liquid. Remember, your hair shaft isn't absorbing 36% of the liquid, the oil, and the cream. It is only absorbing 36% of the liquid. Everything else that you put on after is just weight on the hair shaft over time, which leads to hair shaft disorders like this one. Now, remember, the way that your hair shaft is able to absorb products is simply based on your hair's porosity. If you have low porosity hair, that just means that the dead hair cells that are laid on top of each other, your cuticle, they're laid together pretty tightly. So it'll take a little bit more time or effort for products to get into the hair shaft. This doesn't mean you have to hold your head upside down on a bed. No, this means that the products that you are seeking after have formulations that causes the hair shaft to open. Things or product formulations that have peppermint or tea tree in them are going to be things that are great for somebody with low porosity hair with a cuticle that is really tight. Oh, I love this light. Then if you have medium to normal porosity hair, you're kind of pretty good with whatever products you try. You're really just focused on your scalp and your sebum production. That's a whole nother video. And then lastly, with high porosity hair, which I have, we're, even though products with tea tree and stuff in them, they're fine. They're not going to hurt my hair. Products that are rich in moisturizing and helping me retain nutrients, right? Simply because my cuticle is open. So things that lie within my cuticle want to escape a little faster. And I'm also going to want to use something that is also going to protect my cuticle, not seal it, not lock it, something that will protect it from environmental damage and different things of that nature. Something of a formulation that is more so on the microscopic side, not something that's going to weigh heavily on a cuticle that is already open. Because remember, just because you have high porosity hair does not mean you put a bunch of products on it to fill it up. That's the worst thing you can do, because all of the products are going inside, creating nodes within the hair shaft, creating pockets, creating weaker hair, right? So what you want to do instead is find products that relax your cuticle a little bit. I'm not trying to seal or lock my cuticle down having high porosity hair. I just want my cuticle not to be so wide, not to be so open, and to relax a little. As it pertains to us like coloring our hair and all of those different things, I really, really want you to pay attention to the amount of products that you're putting on the scalp, the amount of products that you're putting on the hair shaft. And the thing is, a lot of people are like, oh, I put this on my hair, but I don't put it on my scalp. Whatever you're putting on your hair is going to be on your scalp. If your hair shaft only absorbs 36% of the leave-in conditioner, that means that 100% of the oil, 100% of the cream is sitting on the hair shaft. So after you put it on your hair, even though you don't put it on your scalp, when you lean back and you lay down and go to bed, guess where it's at? On your scalp. Everything is directly on the scalp, which then leads to follicle infection. This is how there's so much bacteria in the scalp, and most women who do the LOC method also co-wash. There is nothing in co-washing conditioners that kill the type of bacteria on the scalp that forms folliculitis. If you have not watched this video, please go watch it. There is nothing within a co-washing conditioner. There is nothing within conditioner that kills this bacteria that forms folliculitis. Nothing. So if you are a person who is doing the LOC method and packing on all of these products, and you're also a person who only co-washes their hair is literally a breeding ground for bacteria, okay? A breeding ground. To avoid all of that stuff and to completely get away from the LOC method and all of these different methods, keep it simple. Let's start with these 3 simple steps, and then we can go a little further. If you need more help, you can sign up for my 7-day challenge, and it breaks things down in grave detail. Take a look at these women on the screen who have taken my 7-day challenge, and things that they thought they would never break free from in the 7-day challenge, like the LOC method. Just look at her review here. She was able to completely break free from all of that just from joining my 7-day challenge. But let me give you these 3 real quick. Number 1, using excessive amounts of products on the hair shaft is not going to do anything but lead to follicle infections or hair shaft infections, like the ones that we've talked about in these videos here. But the number 1 thing you can do to start limiting your chances of getting scalp disorders or hair shaft disorders is using a small amount of product. A little bit goes a long way. The more products you use, the more money you're going to be wasting and spending, and the more chances you have of product buildup, which leads to a weaker hair shaft and a weaker follicle full of bacteria. So limit the amount of products that you use. For example, when I'm using something like Olaplex 7, I'm not having a puddle of a product in my hand. There should never be a puddle. Number two, pay attention to how your hair feels. Your hair should not feel like it has product on it, right? So when you touch your hair before you add any product to it, and then after you touch it, there should not be a residue from the product that you put on your hands left. You should only use enough product for it to absorb into your hair and walk away. There should be no product sitting on your hair. You should not be able to touch your hair and see oil. If you can touch your hair and see the product you put on it, you use too much. You know why? If it's sitting on the hair, that means that the product that's sitting on the hair that is now on your hands is the product outside of that 36% that your hair was able to absorb. Any product that you can visually see, like if you do the LOC method, you can still see oil, you can still see butter, you can still see cream, baby. That is all just sitting on your hair. And you think that it's absorbed and dry. No, it didn't. It all went into your scalp and it's sitting on top of the scalp. Less is so much more. The only reason that hair companies and product companies have made all of this money is because you guys are buying like years and years worth of a product in like 1 month. A little bit goes a long way. Really, really minimize the amount of products that you're using in one setting. The LOC method is insane. You should be using half of the amount of products that you guys are using. And the more products you use, the more likely you are to have follicle and scalp infections. You have products in the scalp that is weighing down within the follicle, slowing down that follicle's natural hair growth cycle, and you have products weighing down on the hair shaft, blocking the hair shaft's oxygen flow. So your hair cannot receive or release oxygen, which in return makes the hair shaft weaker. Like I said, pay attention to how your hair feels. If your hair feels weighed down or greasy, then most likely it is. Number three, customize your hair's product. Please stop going on social media and just because some random person that you subscribe to that you like and is using a new product, do not go and use it because they told you to, because your hair will be screwed up. If you want to make sure that you're using the right products, do not copy off of other people. Make sure you know your scalp's profile. Make sure you know your scalp's profile. And this is something that I teach you in the 7-day challenge. In the 7-day challenge, you learn everything that there is to know about your body, and you get to learn your scalp's profile so you never run into these problems again ever. But your scalp's profile has a lot to do with like your sebum level, your skin cell turnover, and when that happens every month, the amount of sebum that you produce, the amount of sweat your scalp produces, and all of that. All of these things should go into what products that you select. If you meet somebody that tells you your porosity don't matter, don't you buy nothing from them, don't you book with them, and don't you spend no money. Number four, next up is going to be hygiene and cleansing the scalp regularly. The more you cleanse the scalp, the more you remove bacteria that turns into yeast infections. You know, the same way you get a yeast infection in your cooter mama, guess what? You can get a yeast infection in your scalp and in your follicle. You can also get folliculitis and so many other forms of bacteria. That's where a lot of these different forms of alopecia are coming from. All right. Alopecia, a lot of it is all inflammation that leads to balding, and it is all directly connected to not shampooing and cleansing the scalp properly. So by having a regular routine of shampooing the hair and by doing a scalp detox, you can drastically decrease the amount of inflammation that you have. If you want a really good product for detoxifying the scalp, Olaplex 4C is amazing for scalp detox. So click the link in the description box below to learn more. I need you to go ahead and consult with a dermatologist. If you have burning, itching, if your hair is painful to touch, don't get freaked out, but you have a live bacteria that is eating away at your follicle and you need a topical treatment like that only a dermatologist can prescribe to you to kill that bacteria. You could go ahead and try a couple of different things, a couple of over-the-counter things and stuff like that. But to be honest, the time frame that you're spending looking and trying all of these different products, every day that you waste is another day that the bacteria that is eating away at your follicle has to eat at the follicle. And once it gets to a certain point, there is no turning back. There's a lot of people who have this pain and this burning in the scalp and they let it go, and then once they've tried everything, then they go see a dermatologist. But sometimes at that point it is too late. It's true. There is a certain point of follicle death that cannot be reversed. Do not let it get to that point. And if it is sensitive to touch, if it hurts when you touch it, you are at that point right before it is irreversible. I am begging you, go see a dermatologist. I love you. So that's something really, really quick on the LOC method. If you guys want to go deeper into that, then let me know. We'll do it on live and we'll do a little question and answer, right? A little live question and answer. Or if you disagree, that's cool. You can disagree with me. We'll come on live and talk about it. So let me know in the comments below if you want me to go live talking about the LOC method and giving you all of the scientific information. And until then, make sure you head over to my blog so you can learn more about what I'm saying, the detailed information, and different ways of prevention or reversal of the damage and all types of stuff. Make sure you click the link in the description box below to check this light out. I'm so in love with it. Hold on, let's play with the there we go. So you see like you see it's going brighter and brighter, right? And then it's getting darker and darker and darker. I really, really like it. It's going lighter. Hey, don't you guys love this light? A little bit of light. So as you can see, like we can play with it on different levels. Now it's like this cool tone, like this cool tone or whatever. But I love you guys so much. Let me know what you think if you want a LOC method part 2, because I'll go deep into it. I just tried to like concise it. But if you need me to break it down more, or if you disagree and you need me to break it down a little more listen, I don't have a problem.